Thanks for joining me. I have a gem of a book here. It's called James Gandsey, the Celebrated Killarney Minstrel, a great Kerry piper who lived from 1767 to 1857. Ladies and gentlemen, long ago, when they were going to Killarney and doing the lakes, a thing they had to do was to call to Gandsey's cottage to hear him play on the pipes. And there's a great description in this book written by Ciarán Dalton and published in early 2018. A great description contained in this book by Thomas Crofton Croker, who was, it says here, a folklorist and antiquarian, born in Cork in 1798 of an old Yorkshire family that had settled in Ireland. Initially employed as a junior clerk in the British Admiralty in London, he later began to show an interest in the customs, songs and superstitions of the Irish peasantry, publishing a number of books on the subject of folklore. And Croker gives an account of meeting Gandsey, the great piper James Gandsey, in Gorham's Hotel in Killarney. On another occasion, while at Gorham's Hotel in Killarney, he heard music being played and enquired as to who the player was. Later asked if he, Croker, wished to be introduced to the player, the famous piper, he replied, "What? Gandsey, of whose pipes I have heard so much. Pray tell Mr. Gandsey I shall be most glad of his company." And Croker provides us with the following description. The person thus invited soon made his appearance. He was blind and entered the room leaning on his son. But though blind, the light of genius beamed from his countenance, so as to render his want of sight scarcely perceptible. In addition to Gandsey's talent as a musician, which, if not of the highest, are of a highly respectable order, he can tell a good story, sing a good song, and cap Latin verses with any man in the classical county of Kerry. Croker converses with Gandsey. "Here is a glass of wine, but perhaps you would prefer some whisky punch." "I drink the wine to your honour's good health and long life," says Gandsey, "but the whisky harmonises better with the melodies that I am going to play, sir." "Waiter, some whisky punch." "Gandsey, I wish much to hear the eagle's whistle, so as I think the war march of the O'Donoghue is called." "You can play it, of course." "Without any kind of doubt I can do that same," returned Gandsey. "Boy, is your violin in tune?" Gandsey's son tunes his violin and they proceed to play, as he called it, the oldest of the two war marches of the O'Donoghue, the Step of the Glens. Having played the Step of the Glens, a tune that Croker referred to as a barbarous strain, the piper exclaimed, "And now, sir, here is the eagle's whistle. That was our other war march, you know." And he goes on, Croker, "I had a most delicious evening with Gandsey and his pipes. He played for me one old Irish air after another, accompanied by his son with much skill on the violin. He told me their traditional histories in particular, and I remember he sung for me to a most plaintive air, that poor man's lamentation for the loss of his cow." This is the Diarmuid of Dealish. And he concludes. The song recital finished with the usual grace and courtesy that the minstrel extended to his listeners. "Good night, Gandsey. Good night. I hope to see you again tomorrow. Many thanks for your music." "Bless me, 'tis just 12 o'clock. I did not think it was 10. You have given additional wings to time. Much obliged to you, sir. Good night, sir. Ciarán Dalton has done a great job by publishing this book. It's available by post from Na Píobairí Uilleann in Henrietta Street, Dublin. From a Kerry piper to a Kerry beer, a lovely Irish Red Ale called Kenmare. A lovely drink it is. I think it's quite light. 4.3. Thanks for tuning in.